Thank you so much for tuning in. We're here with such an amazing and special experience for you and for us. This particular, I guess we can call it an episode, instance, session with 100 Women to Watch is starring the magnificent Dr. Kelly Edmonds. Hi, Kelly. And we're going to go through a process called magical revelation today. However, before we get to the magic, let's talk to Dr. Kelly about, like, who are you? You know, how do we get to experience you in the world? You know, who do you serve?
Well, thank you for having me here. It's so nice to connect with you, and also, being able to share my message or the message that I've been sort of called to share. I am a healer, an energy healer, and I'm also a messenger. So, for the lack of a better word, a psychic, right? I get really clear messages, and I also guide people on their spiritual path. And as you may have noticed, yourself, Kai, and anyone else listening, is there's this new trend going on, this new phenomenon called awakening, right? Everyone's awakening. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's meant to happen. It's part of the divine plan in terms of people coming to realize there's a lot more to them than just their, for lack of a better word, mundane life. So I'm at this point in my own spiritual journey and my own work that has been going on for 35 years to help people understand what's going on and be able to step up into that next level of enlightenment for them. And I'm very practical in the way I do it as well. But I wasn't always this aware as I am now. And I'm still on this journey for the rest of my life, which I really love every day. I'm at a point where I want to know more and I want to expand more. But as a little girl, I definitely was an empath. Now that that word is more understandable, where I was super sensitive and I pick up rocks and said they were magic. And I would also, I noticed, start picking up other people's feelings and thoughts, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I was very, very sort of sensitive child. But back then, there was not a lot of, in the parenting world, anyways. How do you deal with a sensitive or empathic child? So I just was sort of, you know, suck it up, get going, get back into your life. And it was probably around not until I was about 30 years old that I decided to take a year off of work. At the time, I was an accountant, absolutely hated it. I'm glad I have it now in terms of financial management in my own life and my business. And I just decided to take a year off, and I thought I'd go back to college and take sociology, like all sort of the liberal arts type of learnings, philosophy. And it was just at that very moment, that very time, that the New Age movement happened. So we're talking probably mid 80s, if any of you were born then, mid 80s. And it was just this hippie whole movement thing. I lived on the west coast of Canada at the time, and it's more mild there. And then the rest of Canada, there's a lot of people live there. It's very much like your Washington and down in the States. And there was like a plethora of experiences where you could check out, the local native spirituality. You could get into Buddhism. You can start to understand what crystals were like. And I fell into having a Reiki session. So it's this hands-on healing session with this woman who is my friend to this day. And I went, wow, that's really amazing, because I was just realizing my hands were like starting to tingle. My hands wanted to do something. And I thought maybe it was oil painting or something. So she says, well, I can teach you how to do this. It's, become a Reiki practitioner. That's common to this day. You can take these learnings, these studies. And so the first session I had with her and the teaching, she became my Reiki master, was she just opened me up. Like, she opened some energy channels, she opened my crown chakra. I'm not sure exactly what she did, But it was about that was the time that was my awakening. And it was like, holy Lord, like it was like the window opened, the light came in, and I just realized there is this whole other level of existence and feeling and beingness that I didn't know existed before because I had was sort of living a less than happy life at the time, just trudging through my accounting career, and it's just not getting my relationships right, and just I was always this low level of depression in my life. So this whole year taking off and enjoying spirituality was really the start of realizing, of course, Eastern philosophy has been around for thousands of years, but I didn't know anything about it. And it was at that point that I started to really get into this, and I just realized I was a healer, and this energy was coming through my hands, and I started doing healings, and I started doing, reading tarot cards and all that sort of stuff. And life came back again. I had to go make money, and I had to go back to my career, and I started getting more into education to the point where, that's really was my last careers in the field of education. And it was not until I retired about 5 years ago that I just had this calling to go back and do healing and working with people. It's such a beautiful experience helping people at that in that way, or just helping people. Yeah, so that sort of was my story. And so my last 5 years, I've really delved into a deeper level of experience and studies and learning about spirituality and about just all sorts of realms that is expanding me and expanding my work.
Understanding your origin story like really helps, going from math and the numbers and accounting and finances into this like multidimensional reality that was, here all along, but at the same time that you access in your own divine timing. How does that start to, your origin story? How does that start to kind of color in the picture of how it is that you work with people? Like, when do they recognize, oh man, I need to see Dr. Kelly like right now?
I find that where I am right now in my work is taking it to another level where people have awakened and have realized there's something bigger, have experienced their own spiritual path, or trying to figure things out, are working in different dimensions, like maybe yoga or energy work, or something else where they want to understand and learn more, but they're very confused about how does all this work, where do I go from here? Because there's so much out there in terms of information, right? Blogs and books and videos and courses. And it's about what do I believe? Because I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real. And so this is the path I've been on for the last 5 years, and I've gone deeper into studies and followed only certain teachers because I really don't read a lot about what else is out there. It sort of has become a bit of a commercial world as well. But I have delved deeper because I had questions like, okay, when I sit here and I do a healing, who am I really talking to? Who's in the room with me, right? In terms of spirits or the energy, or like what is really happening here? And these are questions I've explored deeper and deeper to the point where not only through my personal experiences, but also these deeper studies with certain courses and books and teachers that I've went, okay, I'm starting to understand what that is. And so I'm here to teach people that are at that point too, where this is really great. And I sort of like whisper out prayers and I get an answer now and then and maybe a sign, but this is like, okay, you can actually really develop this because there's two ways. Well, there's a few ways to enlighten yourself and to help you on the path of evolution. And it's a new book I have coming out called The Embodied Mystic. And there's sort of three really power focus places that I teach. And the first one is, of course, divine awareness. Like what is going on beyond this world I can see with my senses? Like what is this outer world? What is this heaven, higher dimension? Like, what is this all about, right? Try to explain that to me. And of course, I don't have all the answers. I mean, gosh, the universe, the multiverse, like I have no idea what all that is. I'm learning here too. The second one is to be able to master energy. Like there's a way that you can work with your own energy and be able to clear it and build it up. And your whole energy field is really important to be able to do that. Otherwise, you could have stuck stuff in there. You could be picking up other people's energies, and you become sort of, disjointed, and there's maybe this blocks and so forth in you that where you just can't seem to evolve. So I teach people how to do basically energy healing on their own selves, really understanding we're just vibration. Everything's vibration. So how do you work with that? And in all those first two is that there's a lot of magic. The third piece, which I called bloodline power, is we're a human body. I mean, we are spiritual beings in a human body. So we have this human body, we have this vessel. How do we work with it? Right? It is real, it is important, it is intentional that we are in this body. So how do we bring those three pieces together and then but go deep into our cellular structure and connect with, I mean, we are part of our ancestrals. I mean, our DNA came from our mother and father side and way, way, way back to, our family, our ancestors could probably fill a football stadium, right? How do I draw on that, and how do I bring that into my life as I go into through a certain evolution? So I call that the enlightenment trinity. And being able to work in each of those areas really brings in a level of empowerment you've never had before. People have not had before, but it's that sort of structural understanding. And the one last thing I want to say is the whole key point to this evolution is our energetic structure around us, our bodies, our chakras, our energy field, our grids. The more we work on those, that's what we take with us after this life. So that energetic structure, that consciousness, that understanding, we actually take that with us, nothing else, nothing physical. And we go into the next life, or we go into the next phase, whatever that may be. Maybe you become angelic. I don't know. Right. But that is important to build that up in this world. So I'm sort of working with people at a different level that really want to understand that type of information and how to go about expanding themselves in that way.
It's beautiful that you are empowering people with tools to ultimately serve themselves. And that's not something that we hear all the time, with different practitioners. So I also just want to thank you for being willing, to have that approach and to really go that deep with people to, to empower them in that way. Thank you for that.
Well, yeah, it's a calling. I was told to do this, and I think it's great because what's happening now is the consciousness is shifting in the world, people, and the universe. It's part of the divine plan. We're starting to wake up. The consciousness, we're able to connect a lot faster than, maybe 300 years ago, where it took a shaman to, channel whatever was happening. So everyone right now who's starting to waken up is an initiative on their own independent spiritual path. And that's a lot of responsibility versus just sticking with one guru for many, many years. Now it's like, okay, where do I go? What do I do? So I'm going to be a stop along the way for certain people on their path and hopefully give them some truths and some ways to work with themselves, and also how to protect themselves energetically as well, and through discernment on who and what they work with, so that they can continue and they'll find another teacher or another experience. And I think that's really important. So really, everyone really is on their own independent spiritual path right now.
And speaking of, the path and the experiences that we get to have along this path, can you set us up for what it is that we have in store for today, which has a very special title? It's called Magical Revelation, and it's not your mama's meditation. It's not that, right? We want to be ready for what it is that you're about to gift us with, Kelly. How can we prepare ourselves?
This definitely is going to be part of the divine awareness. And it is, you're going to meet a part of yourself that has always been there, but it's important for you to connect with so deeply from here on out, from this moment on out, every single day, to really ground and connect with the spiritual side of you that maybe has come into focus now and then, or you didn't know what to do with it, or you're too afraid to connect that deeply with that sort of higher realm. And that's what I'm going to take you through on this experience. Now, it's going to seem a little weird. I am going to turn off my camera because when I'm doing this, I'm sending out all sorts of energy. My eyes are closed and it can be very distracting. And I know I would like you to turn off your camera too, so you can experience it as well without people staring at you. So if people see our cameras off, it's not because the show's over here, but it's because everyone can have their own sacred space to make this work. And this is how I do one-on-one sessions with my clients anyway. So they lie down. I do have music piped, but we won't do that today. But I want to take you on. It's not very long, but it's a very powerful journey.
That sounds great. And just one more question. Do we need to like set an intention, or do we need to clear our minds or anything like that?
I will walk you through that. Usually everything I do, even in my classes, is all experiential. It's experience. Even when I go into a session with a client, I don't ask a lot of questions. I just, because I'm going to get tons of information anyways, and I'm going to pick up on your energy and read it. So this, I will guide you through that and take you down to a certain level and walk you through a visual experience. I'm excited to hear how you do as well.
Right on.
No
I'm
pressure.
excited
No,
too.
there's no you don't have to share anything if you don't want. I really believe in sacredness and privateness. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So, for those of you who are watching, we're about to enter an experience with Dr. Kelly. So, thank you so much for being here. At this time, Kelly, I'm going to turn over the mic and turn off my camera. And I understand you're going to turn your camera off too. And for those of you who are here with us, be here with us. Here we
And
go.
experience it as well. Sit back and relax. Yeah.
All right. Thank you in advance.
All right. I want everyone just to sit back. Just sit back and really relax because I'm going to take you on a very special journey. One that you haven't been on for a while. It won't take long, but it'll be memorable. Are you ready to meet yourself again? All right, so close your eyes and take some deep breaths, 3 of them. That's it. Let those shoulders go down. Let your belly relax. Just do a couple more. All right. Let's go for a little trip down memory lane. Do you remember when you were 5? Visualize that. What were some of the favorite things you liked to do back then when you were 5? Can you see it? What was your favorite toy? That you're so carefree and loving back then at age 5, laughing and running and having fun. Who was your best friend at age 5? What was so special about your friend? What did you do together? Can you see this person? What a special time for you to be so independent, to play and have fun. Ah. Now remember yourself at age 4. Where were you living? Did you have your own bedroom or did you share one with your sibling? This is an age where you developed a taste for certain foods. What was your favorite food back then at age 4? What was your favorite cartoon on TV? Can you see your mom? Where is she? Maybe in the next room? She is smiling at you. So much love pouring from her heart. Now remember yourself at age 3. Can you see yourself? Where did you live then? Can you see the house? Did you have a favorite teddy bear or bunny or other cuddly animal that you loved? What did it feel like? Up against your face and cuddle so tight in your arms. It makes me want to hug you. What about your mom or dad? Can you remember their hugs? Can you see that? Feel it? Hmm. Let's explore you at age 2. That's a long time ago. You were so young and sweet. What sensations do you remember then, if any? What memories do you recall or were told about of this very young age? Little toddler, so sweet. Hmm. Let's slip back to when you were 1 years old. You were so new to the world. Just observe yourself at this age. Recall photos of you at that age. What were you wearing? Who was holding you? What was the expression on your face? So sweet and innocent, so new. Now, go back to just before you were born, just before, and stay there. This was a special and pivotal pivotal time when your soul entered this world. Stay in that spot for a few minutes, just before you were born. Open your heart to it. Feel it. Be there. Take those feelings of just before you were born and place them in your heart. Bring that into your heart, all of those feelings and sensations. Ground it there, rest it there. Stay in that place. What does your heart tell you about your soul? Who are you? Don't be afraid, feel it. It's you. Who are you? What have you come to do? Why are you here? What is your special purpose that no one else can give? Recognize yourself. Remember. Open up to it. Open your heart to it. You may not hear it now, but you will. Keep that feeling and that message with you always. That is you. That's the real you. Welcome again. And when you're ready, come back. Ooh, that was a strong one. Kai, how was that for you? Share what you want.
It was refreshing to be like pointed in the direction of like me, maybe during the day or the week or this experience, starting to kind of like reach for something else, that I maybe thought was this, but is not. And then coming back to this where there's no reaching, like that to me is refreshing. It's like rest without rest, like rest within awareness.
That calmness, that feeling of feeling home, right? Feeling rested, feeling like I don't have to figure this out. I'm just there. I'm just there. It is there with me all the time. In our life, we are shaped. Our environment shapes us, and that's part of the evolutionary challenge. On our spiritual path is. I grew up in a very strict family. I adhered to education and achieved the highest marks I could because I was supposed to. I was supposed to be a good girl, right? And so it took me a long time to shed all that and come back to who I really was. And then it took me many years to learn to marry those two worlds together, the spiritual world, who I really am, and the physical world. And it finally is starting to gel, and what all that means. And so you can live in those moments, and you still have challenges in life, and you still stub your toe, and somebody still, leaves the milk on the counter and goes sour. You still have a real life. And I'm real, but there's this whole other beautiful, I love your background, all this sort of this moving energy and light, and it's really quite beautiful. And I think the most important thing, this is my message, is really connect to your soul, listen to your soul, work with your soul, converse and commune with your soul. Here she's sitting there just waiting, right? So it's that leap, that bridge that I take people like, what does that look like? And how does that feel? And it becomes my daily counsel. And it just gives me my path and how to, and what's really important. And let me tell you, the noise falls away. The fear of missing out falls away. Right? I read less of stuff online, and I'm terrible on social media. I really should try more. But I'm just in my own zone over here and creating my work and being with my family. And it's pretty simple living.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and that like feels connected to what it is that we just experienced in a very profound way. We also have this awesome comment from Allison who says, it helped me remember the uniqueness of my soul, feeling calm. She further says, the sacredness of my soul. So thank you for grounding that for us in real world terms, Dr. Kelly.
We're all magical spiritual beings. Every single one of us. We're here on a contract, working through a human body. And every one of us is special. And it's fun when the remembering starts to come through. Yeah. So I'm glad people have had some good experience with this, because it makes me happy. I've lit up a couple more souls.
Absolutely. Thank you for using the word fun. Like a lot of times people forget to associate that with spirituality, awakening, remembering, however it is that we'd like to phrase it. But you put that word right in there. And I hope that everybody did not miss it, that this can be fun.
Yeah, we're very cool. We're very cool. Yeah.
And you've got a fan here, BT. Thank you so much for being here with us. He says,
Oh,
Dr. Kelly is an ultimate guide into the depths. Love her and her ability to connect intimately. Yeah, thank you.
thank you, BT.
Kelly, what does the continuation and integration of this work look like? Because you just opened up something really huge. Maybe there's a void or a space or something that's unknown, that gets to be present as a result of being here for this experience with you. And for those of you who are here and are wondering what we're talking about, you can go back and be here with us as we had this really cool experience with Dr. Kelly. But now what does it look like? How do we live with this?
That's a really good question. And most certainly starting with the soul and connecting to your soul, or just knowing it's there, is such a huge another awakening, really. And I think it's also a matter of trusting that, okay, now I have some sort of connection, spiritual connection I can really trust, and it's real. People will take a little while to get used to it being real, and trusting that. How do I work with that deeper? Right? How do I listen to that guidance? And each person is going to have their own spiritual journey. Most certainly, my work is I take people there on how to work with their soul a little bit deeper. I also help them with energetic clearings as well. Any old stuff or energetic cords stuck in you, and it's true. We hold these energies. My work also goes into deeper, like 6-week class I'm starting in October called Energy Magic. And I take people through the Trinity, the Enlightenment Trinity, where we start with divine awareness. And I take them through some beautiful, really strong experiences. But I start explaining the spiritual world to them, the spirit world. And then we also start learning how to work with energy, our energy, the energy around us. and how to like magnify that and clear that and cleanse that ourselves. And then we work into the deeper cellular level, really connecting to Mother Earth and our own bloodline. And it's those sort of three pillars and focuses where we start to enlighten even more. We have to do the work, but it doesn't have to be heavy duty. A lot of it, the stuck stuff, the old stuff, the fear stuff starts to shed away. And we just become more aware and able to walk that path of enlightenment, but still be ordinary, regular people at the same time. But we make different choices, right? We tap into different councils of guidance. Our work, our world starts to blossom in new ways. And it's not like throwing everything out with the bathwater at all. Some things shed away and some things just become more beautiful. We love more, right? So it's definitely a path with certain action and awareness and abilities that I teach people on. And then when they're done with me, then they go on to their next spiritual path and experience and teacher. So I'm just one stop along the way, but I most certainly can bring a lot of awareness and also help with getting their structural energetic structure much more clear and powerful.
There's something really brilliant that you said, and a lot of what you said is brilliant, so let me just preface it with that. And you're talking about how one's life can continue to blossom, one's world can continue to blossom, right? And when you said it, like, I felt it come from the inside, right? So it's like we're talking about our world, our universe, our experience, and also what's going on internally. Can you help me put some more words to that? Like, what does that even mean? What can people look forward to in a practical and a spiritual sense, with these types of experiences?
It Edgar Cayce, I don't know if you know him, he was a great mystic, and he did he's called a sleeping prophet. He would have these amazing dreams. He'd also could do medical diagnoses and stuff. He was in the early 1900s. He very much said, we are all, and a lot of people say this too, just not him and me. We're all energy, we're all frequency, everything. It just, this is just a more dense form, the picture behind me, but it's like vibrating energy. And we're connected to the universe, which is a higher and higher and higher vibration and more whimsical and high frequency. We are all part of that. We are the universe, right? So it's really weird. We're part of the divine plan. We probably help build part of it, right? But as human beings, we just think like we're clueless, like, we're in the dark. And I don't know why we come down like that. We decide to come down like that. We go through some, school of hard knocks. We have some awakening and we start to come back, but it's the hardening of life and the tough lessons that actually keep building our energetic structure as well. So when you start to get this divine knowingness, like you just had this internal click, 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 it's because you're tapping into the higher intelligence because you are part of it. And you just starts to come and you start to realize, wait a minute. And what you'll find is you have this amazing wisdom and knowledge that starts to come through and you go, well, I've never heard that anywhere before. Good. That's what I want to hear, as opposed to don't quote someone else like blah, blah told me. No, it's like I pick up information like, are you sure? I've never heard that before. But you can feel it in your spine. It tingles, your gut tingles. That is this beautiful knowingness. So yes, it comes from you, because you're connected to the higher intelligent realm. You're more plugged in, like those old school telephone operators.
Yeah. Awesome.
You might only have one or two plugs in there, but keep going, honey. You're going to have about 100 or 200 eventually.
Right. And as we continue to kind of like create some closure here, I'd love to ask you just one more question about like not taking this for granted, right? I feel like, and I can only speak from my own experience, is that like perhaps it's like the more I know the more I feel like I know nothing, and that there's just everything just kind of is, right? And even in that isness, like I don't want to take the profoundness and sacredness of all of what is here for granted. Um, so it's like this push and pull to acknowledge and be grateful, and also to be grateful and acknowledge by living, and just being here. How can one, particularly myself, kind of start to strike a balance, between this push and pull, or do we just be with it?
Well, it's good to be absolutely good to be grateful for everything in your life, because the more we put out those vibes, the more those come in. We've heard that time and time again. And it's good to be in awe as well. But you're going to get to a point, people are going to get to a point in their own spiritual evolution where we just hang with these, I call them my posse, my spiritual posse. We have every right to be there. I may not be on the same levels as some of them, like archangels and stuff, but they come to me, and wanted to work with me. So we have every right. We are actually magnificent in terms of our spirits, right? And this is our playfield now, right? When you make that leap, when you do that bridge, it's not like me down there and them up there. It starts to level out, and you start to take more on a role of a spiritual role. And that's a big part of your spiritual journey, is opposed to like paying homage to something and so forth. You're just as magnificent. And it's like coming into that and realizing that. And then the big leap is then you got to get up in the morning, go to work. Like, how does all that sort of, how do I bring that with me, right? I think then, human experience is not easy. I'll have to admit, sometimes I go, you come down here and do this. It is not easy, and some of these spiritual beings that you work with have never incarnated on earth, and some have. The angels are the closest ones. They have been incarnated, so they understand us more. That's why they're more soothing for us. But there's some have not. They're really relying on us to do the work down here, and to understand how to be a human, and understand how to apply what we're doing, and merging the spirit world with the human world. Like, it's a big undertaking, that's for sure. But know that there is no huge hierarchy. Like, we're walking, they're walking beside us, we're walking beside them, so they revere us as well.
That's good to hear. I like, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's when you start to come to these realizations, and it's pretty cool, and you go, okay, well, that changes things, that changes my role, right? That changes my confidence, that changes my desire to learn more and keep going on my spiritual path. And what I know today could be much different than what I know in 5 years or in 10 years. Like, I have no idea. This is just where I am right now. And they guide me and call me to help people with all this information. Believe me, I hesitate. Like, I'm a very introverted person. It's like putting this woo stuff out there. It's like, all right, I'll do that. And now I'm used to it, so I'm fine with it now. Like, if you think I'm crazy, great, go ahead.
I love that. And Dr. Kelly, can you remind us of the amazing resources that you have available, from, your book to opportunities to join you live in the future?
Yes. Well, the magical revelation is on my website, kellyedmonds.com, Edmonds with an O. And it's free experience. And if anyone here wants to share that with anyone else, they can just log online and get that. We'll certainly have, different experiences online that people can have of what they're ready to experience. I'm about to launch a new Facebook group called the Energy Magic Collective. It should be up any day. And in there, I'm going to be interacting with people a lot more and sharing. And I think one or two times a month, I'm going to be doing free master classes where I teach people through experiences as well. So yeah, and my book should be out in probably 6 weeks, and it's called The Embody Mystic. And the Embody Mystic is taking people through that enlightenment trinity of divine awareness, bloodline power, and energy mastery. So those are the three big sort of key pillar PowerPoints of focuses on developing on your spiritual journey to enlighten you even more.
Holy moly, what a wealth of resources. Like, we can just really be in your world almost every day.
I'm here to help, that's for sure. But thank you.
Yeah. If let's say that someone just kind of like popping on at the end of this and they kind of missed, the experience that we had and the conversation that we had. Is there one takeaway that you would like, for them to have as we get ready to close out?
Yes, I want people to know that they are magical beings. They are already remarkable spiritual beings that they're starting to remember and to keep working along that path, knowing that they're just as powerful and have a right to be here as any other spiritual beings or realm, and listen to the callings that start to come to them. They're correct, they're right, they're on the right path, and to believe in themselves a lot more. They're much bigger than what they think.
Thank you so much for your presence, this gift of the magical revelation experience. Again, if you're just joining, feel free to go back and turn your camera off, close your eyes, and be a part of that experience. That is you, and that Dr. Kelly has gifted us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. This has been wonderful, and everyone who's listening, love you.
Bye for now, everyone.